Hi everybody, so my name's Ian McDonald, I'm one of the engineers here at Virgin Atlantic. I hope you really enjoyed our first lesson around the theory of flight. We've got more coming up and the next one's going to be all around our engines, the exciting theory of how engines work and the principles of suck, squeeze, bang, blow, and really excitingly we've got an engine change to show you as well.
Hi, my name is Stuart Morton and I work in the engineering department at Virgin Atlantic. And today we're going to be showing you round one of our 787s, specifically the engines. This one is GV Spy, that we affectionately named Miss Moneypenny. So let's start at the very beginning. And in 1903, when the Wright brothers first flew, they had an engine that was much like on a car. It's a piston engine powering a propeller that was driving it through the air. That continued, and the development of that style of engine all the way through to the 1940s, and during World War II an Englishman called Frank Whittle came up with a gas turbine engine like one of these. So now what we're going to do is take you round the engine and we're going to open up one so that you can see what's inside. So an aircraft engine and a car engine work in much the same way on the suck, squeeze, bang, blow principle. And we're going to have a look around this engine at each part of that principle. Starting at the front with the fan, this is the suck section where air is drawn in and either ducted down the side or sent through the core where it will start to be compressed. Development of gas turbine engines continued all the way through the 50s right up until what we have today. This is a 787 and this particular engine is a Trent 1000. Developing about £81,000 worth of thrust. It has 20 fan blades on the front which pull the air in through and drive the air out the back. So here we are now underneath the engine cowls and we can see a lot more of what's going on. So as we've seen, the squeeze part of the fan ducts the air down this massive bypass, which is then thrown straight out the back of the engine. This particular engine is a 10:1 ratio. So for every one part of air that will go through the core, 10 parts will come round the outside. The air that comes through the fan and then into the core enters this section here, which is where the air is continuously compressed. The compressor section is made up of rows and rows of ever smaller blades that continuously squeeze the air, compress it, and which generates heat. So you get high pressure and lots of heat generated in this section. So once the compressors have squeezed the air, increased the pressure and the temperature, it then passes through into the combustion chamber. Unlike a car where you'll have individual cylinders, the combustion chamber is cannular and goes right around the complete circumference of the engine. There are 18 spray nozzles that then inject fuel into the compressed air, and an igniter spark sets off the ignition. Once that ignition has taken place, because the air is constantly moving through the engine, it is self-sustaining and continues to burn the air and the fuel together before passing it through onto the next stage of the engine. Once we've ignited the fuel and air mixture, you get a rapid increase in pressure and thrust that comes out of the combustion chamber and now goes into the turbine section. The turbine section are made up of turbine discs with blades that, as the air and gases pass through, rotate those turbine blades and rotate the shaft that they're connected to. This engine is a triple spool engine, meaning that there are 3 shafts that run through it. The shafts are then connected back to the fan that we saw at the very beginning, and the compressor stage that squeezes all that air up. So you end up with is a continuous cycle of the front drawing in the air, turning the compressor, exploding, driving through the turbines that again rotate the front. And it's a continuous cycle through. Then you come to the last part of the engine. So now we're going to find ourselves here at the back of the engine, and as you can see the high bypass ducting where most of the air comes directly from the fan and comes through the engine, creating thrust. That's where most of your power comes from. And then here is your core, and if you look in the back, you can just see the turbine blades at the last stage turbine, where most of the exhaust comes out through here. So what we're going to do now is take off the exhaust and then have a look inside. So now we've taken off the exhaust cone, you can see inside here we have this protective cover right in the middle that we call the biscuit tin, and behind that is the end of the shafts that drive all of the sections that we've been talking about right through the centre of the engine, from the turbines right at the back here through to the compressors and right out to the fan at the front. On occasions it's necessary to take these engines off wing so that they can go back to the manufacturer for inspection and overhaul in areas where we can't actually get to ourselves. And we have a video for you that shows you our recent engine change that we performed here in the hangar. So question one is around about how a jet engine actually works and the 4 principles behind it. So what are the 4 principles that make a jet engine work? Question 2 is can you remember how many fan blades make up the fan at the front of the engine? And the final question is, can you remember what the engineers call the protective cover right at the back of the aeroplane that sits over the shafts that drive the engine? So thank you very much for watching this video. We've got another one coming up for you very shortly, so I hope you tune into that.